Good morning. I was just talking with a client, actually a couple of nights ago, I guess. But I was just talking with a client about a scarcity mindset. Now, this specific person was really struggling with, hey, no, I can't give that away, or I can't get rid of this. And so they're kind of a pack rat. I don't think that they would actually qualify for a TV show on their own, but they're kind of a pack rat, and they hold on to things, and they're scared to let go of things. And it comes to people, it comes to stuff. Now, there are legitimate reasons for this. Okay. This individual has a childhood and some past experiences that have trained her to think this way. So she's come by it honestly. I'm not saying that there's no reason for it. But what I was helping her with was, how do you change this? How do you change your scarcity mindset? Well, there are different ways to change it. The easiest first step is to start working on our minds, to start thinking in different ways. And what we can do that is using visualization. Visualization with emotion starts to change what we believe, how we think. Okay, so that's one thing that she can do, and we've been doing those exercises. But secondly, and more importantly, and something that will make the biggest difference, is to change the way we change our brains is to experience something different. So what I told her to do was, I said, you need to start getting rid of some stuff. And she's like, I don't want to get rid of any stuff. So we talked about what she could potentially get rid of. And so many people think, well, I just get rid of it and that's okay. The problem with that is this happens with habits, this happens with routines and other things like this. If we just get rid of something in our lives, something else will fill it. And often the thing that fills it is something that distracts us or becomes a problem for us later on in life. So when I was in addictions and mental health, we used to call this cross addiction. So somebody will give up alcohol but start smoking, or give up smoking but start, shopping, and then kind of become addicted to shopping because they're not taking care of the emotions behind it. So here's what I want you to do. If you're struggling with a scarcity mindset, maybe you need to get rid of some stuff. It's a fantastic way to start working on a scarcity mindset, because you realize, I don't need all this stuff. I hold on to it, I squirrel it away, but really I don't use most of it, and most of it doesn't bring me joy. Start living a simpler life and realize that you're okay. That's what's going to teach us. So here's the action step that I gave her. Same that I'm going to give to you if this is something you struggle with at different times. So what I want you to do is give away something. Now, don't just throw it out. Don't just throw something out. Give it away. Give it away to somebody in a way that you feel good about yourself. Okay, so the first step is that you are getting rid of something, but you're changing the emotion of it from fear and lack to joy and gratitude, that you're able to make somebody's day, that you're able to do something good for somebody. My wife and I practice this all the time. When we have something that we don't need anymore, especially with the kids, we'll give it to a family around us, whether it's siblings or cousins or something like that have younger kids than us. And it brings so much joy to give a quality gift to somebody. Even if it's used, it's a quality gift and people appreciate it. The second step is to fill that space with something positive. Okay, so not only are you changing the feelings from lack to joy and gratitude, but you are also, in generosity, you are changing that feeling of lack and despair and fear to something that's more close to appreciation and gratitude, again, for what you have. And what I want you to do is, if you get rid of a box in your house, so for example, I was just getting rid of a box in my office, instead of just getting rid of it, and I could have done that, but I don't really need that space anyway, so I filled it with a plant, a potted plant. And that's what I would encourage you to do. If you're going to get rid of some things in life, fill that space, fill that void with something beautiful, something that brings you pleasure. Buy a piece of art, buy a living plant. Do something for yourself that doesn't simply ignore it or take your mind off of the fear, but changes that fear. So every time you look at that corner of your space, you are excited, or that wall in your house, you're excited, and you go, this brings me joy, this brings me pleasure. That will change our attitude as fast as possible, from scarcity to abundance, from scarcity to delight, from scarcity to excitement about what we can have. And that will start playing in your head. You are now more likely to get rid of something else. It's going to be easier to get rid of the next thing. That's as simple as it is. Now, I said a potted plant or art. You can do this in many different ways. Maybe you've got a relationship in your life where you're scared that if you got rid of this relationship, you wouldn't have the same amount of friends. You wouldn't have the closeness to somebody. Often we do that. Often we are afraid that if we get rid of a client or a customer, that we're not going to have enough money. But really, when we get rid of the things that are not bringing us joy, the things that are causing us grief, And I'm not saying all clients or customers should do this, but if you've got some people that are harder to deal with and you actually fire them as your client or customer, I've done this in the past, what will happen is you can now bring in better people into your life. And that might be an intimate relationship. That might be a friend. That might be, again, with a client or customer, it'll be now 2 or 3 or 4 clients or customers that you make way more money now, and it's a pleasure to do business with them, so you find more joy in your work. I want you to, this is the action step today. My action step for you today is think about the things that are causing grief in your lives. Whether it is something like just the stuff that's taking up space, or you're losing space, or costing you something else, like relationship, and switch that out, trade it out, and get something, replace it with something or someone that brings you joy. If you make a habit of this, and this is the action step, write down 3 things. Spend some time on this. If you need to take 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, do that. Ask yourself, what are some things or people in my life that are taking up space and costing me more than they're giving me? And what can I do about them? Maybe it's a box. Maybe it's camping gear that you've never used in 20 years, whatever it is. Maybe it is a relationship. And then on this other side of the piece of paper, simply ask yourself, what can I replace this with? Do something good with it. I've never fired a client and said, good riddance, I hate you. I've never done that. I've tried to put them into the hands of somebody else who I believe will take better care of them, because I've lost interest in somebody who's simply a headache for me. So usually I'll do that. If it's stuff, material possessions, give it away to somebody who needs it. If it is some other relationship, again, don't simply divorce somebody, get rid of them. Set them up so that they have more success. That will bring far more joy into your own life. And I think sometimes we miss some of those pieces. But write down a few things on the left-hand side of the paper. Write down a few things on the right-hand side with what you were going to replace it with. And then enjoy the newness, the abundance that you can experience with what you are bringing into your life rather than what you're losing. That changes everything. Remember, you've got this.